Welcome to a brand new tutorial. Today we're going to be covering loops. Now, first delete the default code. And you may notice we have two files on the side now. This allows us to just switch between our thing and mozzarella. So, what is a loop? A loop executes the same code over and over again until a certain condition is met. The first loop we're going to look at is a while loop. So let's say we want to execute some code while x is less than a certain value. Well, we would use the keyword while, and we're going to follow that x1 by declaring the variable x equals 0. And let's make it 1. It's going to do while x is less than 10. So it's going to take in a condition in parentheses like an if statement. Similar to an if statement, we're going to have a body, but unlike an if statement, it's going to repeat the body over and over again until the condition is false. So while x is less than 10, we're going to do x plus equals 2. And we're also going to print x. We just run this real quick. Going to start at 1, and it's going to add 2. So it's going to be 3, add 2, 5, add 2, 7, 9, 11. 11 is greater than 10. So x is no longer less than 10. It exits the loop. Now there are some special keywords we can use, like break and continue. Break force exits the loop. So if we just put like break instantly, nothing's going to happen because it's going to instantly exit the loop. Now there's some other things we can do, like continue, where let's use a query for this since it's a very simple condition. So we're going to check if x is equal to 5, and if so, we're going to continue. And continue skips the rest of the code and continues to the next iteration of the loop. Now, it seems like there's an error popping up here, but we'll see what it is. Alright, I don't think we can use and continue inside of a query. So I'll just do if x equals 5, continue, like that. And you see it skips the print line for 5 because we put the continue statement. Now we can also apply this for the break statement if you want it to close if it's equal to 7. We see 3, 5, and then it gets to 7 and it just breaks. But those are very useful statements for loops. Now, there's a much simpler version of the loop which allows us to get a list of each content of each iteration. And the way we do this is using an arrow. So let's try this again. Except we're going to do while x is less than 10, arrow x plus equals 2. Now what this is going to do is this is going to iterate. And so it's going to start with 1, and then it's going to add 2 to x and create a new list, which we haven't gotten to yet, but just imagine it as like a set of elements. It's going to add 3 to that list because that's the value of x plus 2. And then 5, 7, 9, 11. In the end, we have a list of all the values of x plus equals 2. Now, the downside to this is you can only use one statement, but it is very useful for creating different things. So let's try printing this out, and let's see if my theory about what will happen was correct. And voila, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Very simple. But there's an easier way to do this sort of while it's less than something loop, and it's called a for loop. Now, for loop just executes for each value in a range. And so first we give it a demo variable, like a temporary variable. And this variable is created inside the for loop, but it instantly disappears outside the for loop. So there's no way to access this variable outside the for loop. So let's use I. I is a pretty generic one used in many programming languages and programming tutorials and examples. Let's use I. And then we have to use the temporary assignment arrow, which is only a single dash instead of the equal sign. And this just means it's going to get dropped after the whole body's gone. So we're going to put our starting value. We're going to put a byte or the colon. We actually want to start at 1 like it does here. We're going to starting value 1. Then we're going to have 10. And if we want to make it so it increases by 2 every time, we can use the step arrow, which is 2 of these, then 2. Then just like that, we can just make it do I. And this is going to start I1, since we're going to get something different. It's going to start at 1, add 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, like that. So let's try printing this. And boop. Well, it actually doesn't include the 11, since as soon as it gets to 10 minus 1, that's when it stops. It's a non-inclusive range, which means that once it reaches the condition, it's not going to do the next step. So that's why I didn't do that. Now, we use the arrow there, but we can also just use braces for a body. And so we can do print line I. Let's run this. And same exact output, just all split up. So those are our loops. There is one more loop, but it uses lists and dictionaries. So we're not going to go into it just yet, but stay tuned for that. Loops are very useful. They can allow you to create things very quickly. Like, let's say you want a list of numbers from 0 to 10 million or 1 to 10 million. Do 1, 10 million. Just do that, and easy peasy. There's your list of numbers. Print it out. This is going to crash my computer. Give it a second. And it's frozen because it has to write a lot of text to the bottom terminal. But you got to trust me, it works. If we we just open it up, it's somewhere right here. Oh no. There's that. But yeah, I'll see you in the next tutorial.